Palm putting itself up for sale, a Bloomberg exclusive. A lot of that likely having to do with the tough sales picture over at Palm for its Pre and its Pixie phones. For a closer look at that developing story, let's bring in Nick Thompson, the Bloomberg contributor, and of course, a Wired magazine senior editor. Thank you for joining us as always, sir.
Thank you.
So, Palm possibly going to be sold if the right buyer comes along, assuming there is someone who really wants Palm. Why don't we talk about the technology?
Yeah.
What is it with Palm that is so attractive from technology? Because we know they're burning through cash, and that is not something that is appealing.
Well, what's interesting is that they're failing, and they had a horrible last quarter after they put out a really good phone. People really liked the new Pre's. They were well reviewed.
Which the stock soared on all the excitement of the Pre hitting the market. And
I tested one out. They're good. The problem was the marketing campaign was a disaster. They probably had the wrong price point, and this is a really hard time to get into the phone market. But they've built good technology. They have people there who know how to do it, and they've thought through it. I would imagine it's actually a fairly attractive thing to buy.
So the appeal of Palm might be the talent in the company, and also, aside from those phones, I've heard that the software, the pre-operating software got thumbs up from people.
Yeah.
You know, if you're HTC, maybe you say, okay, I want to take our hardware, match it up with the software. I mean, can you do that? Is that easier said than done?
You can do that. It probably is easier said than done. Palm made huge strides in their operating system. The old Palm operating system was a disaster. With the Pre, they had a major upgrade. It was just a little bit too late. So I would think the people who wrote the software and the software itself could be attractive. Some people have talked about Microsoft as a potential buyer, right? As we're going to see later today, Microsoft is actually introducing its own phone. Could they buy Palm and introduce some variation or upgraded version of the Pre? Not impossible, not likely, but it's something to think about.
Well, they certainly could afford to do it.
They certainly could afford it.
$870 million market cap for Palm, but
a lot of which is cash, right? I mean, you're bringing on an $800 million company which has something like $400 million in cash. So
right. But you just said it. Microsoft has its own new product. They're developing from within with the pink phone, which is not only going after sort of the social networking market a little bit late. It's going after this younger crowd, which Microsoft doesn't really have the cool thing going.
Microsoft is not known for getting the young crowd, but Microsoft has done a lot of things in the last couple of years that have made it a little bit more appealing to the young people. They put out the Xbox, which has done pretty well. They have Project Natal, the sort of the eye-controlled video controller that's coming out later this year. So they're aiming for that segment. I don't know if this phone will succeed, but they're trying. Now, it is important to point out, this is not a major smartphone. This is not going to compete with the iPhone, or it's not going to compete with your BlackBerry. This is a moderately functional, medium-end phone they're targeting at 20 to 30-year-olds.
So what you're telling me is this is going to be a small nugget on the financial statements if it is a hit. So it's not going to wow Wall Street, per se.
No, it's not going to move the needle.
So how do you measure success of a product like this, then?
I think if people are still talking about it in a few months, if it's selling fairly well, then that's good. And if it disappears without a trace, that's bad. Most likely it'll be somewhere in between.